Thank you very much for joining the podcast about driving demand. Now, of course, I can do your intro, but I think you'll be a better suitor for that. So I'll leave the small intro to you. But I do know that I read a lot about your copywriting background, and I'll be picking on that a little bit moving
Yeah.
forward. But I'll leave it up to you for the small intro.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm going to try to keep it short. So I come from advertising. I was creative copywriter there. And for the past 4 years and a half, I've been working at Growth Tribe, which is the leading education company in growth in Europe. And now we diversify our portfolio, obviously, with lots of other offers and lots of different courses, especially on demand. And I've got, let's say, two big jobs here. The first one was a trainer, like growth hacking trainer, before COVID, when we used to travel to different countries and teach adults within companies how to do growth, how to have a growth mindset, but also the processes and all the things that comes with it. And after 2 years, I'm guessing we'll talk about this, but I took the position of head of training in France and then head of growth, and we built that team from the ground up. And just a bit more about myself. Yeah, my two main specialties, like I consider myself a G-shaped player because I love to take courses on everything. And I have intuitive understanding about lots of stuff, but my two main skills are still copy. Obviously, I do love copy and it's so useful throughout the entire funnel. So I always advise people to do copy, not just because I'm copywriter, because I do think this is one of the most important skills you can have today, and retention. I got mentored by Sebastian Armnes, which is weird because it's going to be my next boss when I move from Growth Tribe into retention, because he built companies from the ground up in San Francisco, and they worked really well. And I asked him what was the reason. It was mostly retention, because not a lot of people know how to do that well. So my two main topics right now are copy and retention, I'd say.
Nice. That's a cool background to have. We'll be diving deep in a little bit about these specific things. Now, in the first track, I always try to reverse engineer not the driving demand part, but the reverse engineer Jean and how you got to this position, because you're now sitting in a cool studio. But I'm always curious how people end up having that seat, how you actually ended up in this seat. So I want to ask you the question, what do you think you have done differently than other people to get into the position you got into right now?
Well, it's actually I'm going to talk again about Sebastian, but because I remember one of the first conversations I had with him when he came to Growth Tribe and we started to work together here. That was my first month. That was his first month too. And at some point we went into a bar. We went outside for a cigarette, and then I said to him, I would give everything to have a quarter of your knowledge, your hard skills, right? And he said to me, you were incredibly stupid to think that, because I would give everything to have a half of your soft skills. So I'm guessing what makes me, I don't think I'm so different than a lot of people are, but what makes me a bit different than most people in tech is that I come from a soft skill background. I've done a lot of different stuff and I'm good with people. I can sit in every meeting, whether it's a CEO in front of me or an intern, it doesn't really make a difference for me. So I think my soft skills brought me here. And also, of course, a lot of work. When I came into Growth Tribe, I was so agnostic on all of these things. I was head of marketing for a startup in Paris for 6 months. But before that, I was in advertising, which is a complete different world, which is not that data driven, et cetera, et cetera. And I worked a lot and I jumped on everything. I'm the trainer here that had the most hours, because every time there'd be something I'd be like, yeah, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have kids, I'll go. So I just worked a lot during the 2 first years, and I still work a lot, but I prioritize better. But what makes me a bit different, I'm guessing, and I'm seeing this mostly in the corporate business side of things or whatever, is that I'm good with people, which a lot of the geniuses that we know in tech are geniuses, but they're not really good with people. They don't have a lot of social skills. And it's really important if you're a trainer, because you need to make people understand concepts that are sometimes quite complicated, but you need to vulgarize them and make them really understandable. So being good with people and understanding where that person is on that learning curve is quite important. You don't go to a doctor and get a treatment, you get a diagnosis first, right? And doing the diagnosis and knowing where people are at and how you should teach them, when do you need to be mean, when do you need to be assertive, when do you need to be supportive, is quite important. So if I got like that one thing, is that I'm endlessly curious, and that curiosity led me to being a really social person. I think I'm a quite introvert person, but I know when to be extroverted. So, and I see this in like meetings and shit. People, I'm not saying everyone likes me, definitely not, but, but, but like we get each other, and I know how to work properly. Also, I don't take business so seriously. I take what I do really seriously, but not myself, which helps a lot because it humbles you a little.
It boils down the room a little bit to like
No,
normal
that's true.
temperature.
I've got that character, that French obnoxious asshole in trainings. That's my character. But as soon as you see me for like 30 minutes, then you understand that's not really my personality. I just like to play on it. It's like, yeah, I'm French. I'm better than you anyways. Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's
I'm
just like
French,
a
I know
fun
better.
thing.
That's it.
Yeah. Of course the Chinese, they don't understand.
So can I break it down to say like I think I heard a couple of things, but I think the main two things I've heard is good with people, which I think serve you well, not in the beginning, because then a good with people is good when you're a manager and you're managing stuff in the
Yeah.
beginning. You just have to be very good at something to get to that position, I feel,
Mm.
unless
Yeah,
you do
there's
different
that thing I
strategy.
published on my LinkedIn, like I think a month ago, which was
Hmm.
something that I took from Growth Tribe account actually, which was hard skills get you hired, soft skills get you promoted,
Yeah.
right? I think it's really true. Like, I mean, you still need hard skills for everything you do. The soft skills are like the overall global way you're going to be as a person and seen. Like, you've seen this as well, Ricardo. I mean, like, I've been into companies. I'm like, how the F that guy is paid twice that guy? Like, how? And of course, you know the answer. It's soft skills. It's like the guy suck up to the right guy or whatever. But, you know, there's like all the dynamics that comes into place. It's not just about hard skills. And
Yeah.
it's good. That's why I like salespeople too, because they're really good at like reading people and knowing where to shut up and when to open it up. So salespeople are usually quite good. I think everyone should have a background as a salesperson. It's really
At least you
good.
should be able to sell the product once, because otherwise, how do you do marketing?
Exactly. Because marketing at the end of the day is still trying to sell something. It's just the really beginning of the funnel, but it's still selling something.
Yeah, but it is true that once you move up, like in the beginning, it is easy to get to hard skills because getting a hard skill done, like if you would focus on copywriting for like 3 years, you should
Yeah.
be good enough to like be hired and get done and raise to a certain level. But once you want to move up, I feel that's where manager positions come in, and that's basically soft skills. Because I know a lot
Yeah,
of people
well,
that
managing
are,
is really different. Yeah, it's like you
yeah,
need soft skills anyways, even if you're not a manager. I do believe that, but yeah, managing is a really different job than like
it's
because it's like
hard.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. You got to care about people. What the fuck is that? I mean, no, I'm kidding, but no, but, no, but that's true. Like when managing is like because, and I said this in because I don't do a lot of interviews or whatever. I don't think I have so much value to give, and the value I give is in the courses and in the trainings that I do. But one of the interviews I've done, I was saying a little bit about this is. Basically one of the hardest challenge I had to like to go through when I became like head of training and I had to manage my own people is that I came from I was lead speaker here, so my job is to take a lot of space. That's your job. Like your job is to go in conferences, go in meetings, and sell your stuff. So you take a lot of space, and then when you're in the head of whatever, like managing position, your job is not that anymore. Your job is to make sure the machine's running and make sure you're an enabler, right? So you enable people to do stuff and progress within the professional career, which is a big like change, right? If you used to be in a conference and be on the stage and do all of that, and you need to take space and you need to be the number one person viewed in the room, you know, just like everyone needs to come and talk to you after the conference, not the other speakers, etc. It's a little bit of competition. And then you become manager, but manager is not your job. You're doing your job wrong, I think, if you like take all the credit, if you basically have all the ideas. Your job is not to do that. Your job is to make sure that the people in your team have all of that. And for you, which is the machines running, keep them happy, keep them challenged, because if you have clever people, they will leave if they're not challenged enough. But it's a really different job.
I think that that's a topic which is interesting where you picked on is like I think for you as well when you manage growth hackers, I feel like most of them are quite ambitious. They're like they have this entrepreneurial mindset, get shit done. They want to grow basically.
Yeah.
Like how do you deal with that as a manager now? Like how do you keep ambitious people still working at the company? Because most of the time they have these crazy ideas that they want to do it themselves or they want to
Yeah.
move into their own business. So
Oh
how do
yeah,
you keep
like
them?
a lot of the ex-employees, I think 50% of the ex-employees of Growth Tribe, like started their own startup at some point. Like it's insane. It's insane. And yeah, you're right. And especially in tech, if you take like the average tenure of an employee in tech, it's 2 years. If you take it in the Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, it's 18 months. So the way I'm trying to do that is that I involve them at every level. So for example, the OKRs, objective key results that we do, I don't do them myself with like top management. We don't go into a small room with the commercial director and general manager and myself and just be, okay, that's what we do. And then we just put this down the throat of our people. No, we go into a room and feel, all right, so what's the main thing? What's the North Star metric of the brand? How are we going to do this ourselves? And so the entire strategy is built by the team itself. It's not built by the top management. So of course we have to reach targets that HQ is telling us and everything, but it's still like the way we're going to get there. It's all together and everyone has this, whether you're here for a month or 6 months or 2 years, you will have a say in how to do things. And that also helps, I think, employees, like I say employees, but it's like that my team, they're at the same level as me, to me, to be honest. And it helps them also understand a little bit more the global view of the company and what we're trying to achieve here in terms of value that we're trying to give to society. Because I do think what motivates a person that comes into work is obviously growing professionally, but also you need to love your work, but not only. You need to love what that work translates to when it comes to impact on society, right? You don't wake up every morning just because you kind of love what you do. You love it because that work is actually having an impact on people or on whatever you're working on. And so the fact that we're doing all of this together also helps the team understanding and have kind of like an helicopter view, right? They can see it from the top, kind of like, oh, this is what we're trying to achieve. That helps as well with the blockers when we have like, IT doesn't let me do that. Oh, no. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to understand the full strategy here. We're scaling up right now. Like, for example, the IT thing is that we're scaling up right now. We need those processes to be more secure. We need to do this and this and this. And it's difficult for my team because we like the small startup within the scale up, right? Because France is still like less than 20 people and everything. So we do have like some compromises on the mid-size, but these meetings, the OKR meetings, the things that we're all building it together helps everyone also feels really, really, to come back to your question, really like into the company as a whole and not just like a little pawn. They're just being told what to do. If you have clever people in your team, they won't stay if you act like this. Like if they don't feel like they are part of something and they actually matter in terms of strategic decisions, no one in my team would stay. And I don't know like other teams, but my team, like I think they're really clever people. That's my secret as a manager. I hire clever people. I basically don't do it.
So you don't have to do anything anymore. You
Yeah,
just have to keep them
what's
happy.
Netflix today? No. But that's the thing, right? It's the enabler thing, right? And it comes back to what I was saying before. That's your only job, is to make sure they have the good ideas and whatever. I do still have good ideas, but most of my time is spent like managing these guys and giving training. So most of the growth experiments or the marketing campaigns that we have done in the last year, they're not from me. They're from them.
So I'm curious around this. So you developed your management style, let's call it like that. And I feel like your management style is a little bit the same as mine, which is just hire the right people and back off, basically.
Yeah. Well,
How
you need
did
to
you?
back off, but with clear lines of communication.
Yeah,
So for me, the perfect team is an autonomous team with clear lines of communication. So we know we're all going in the same direction. But yeah,
yeah.
I'm not going to go over your shoulder and be like, I would have done it that way. No, that's not like,
No,
I'm
I
not gonna.
agree. How did you develop this? Is this something you developed just naturally, or is this like you got a training, or like how did you develop like this is my style? Is it because you have that personality as well, or did you grow into this personality?
Well, first of all, yeah, I think it's kind of my personality, and everyone in my team knows me. We tell personal stuff to each other. We hang around as friends, right? So I'm not going to be the guy. Oh, a startup is like a family. No, it's still your colleagues or whatever. But it doesn't help that I went on holidays with my first ever recruits like a couple of weeks ago, or whatever. But it's like the way we manage things is that first of all, you need to be close to your personality. I think if you're trying to play or act like someone that you're not, it might work in a big corporate. It's not going to work in a startup that is so transparent as this one. Second, you might need help from coaches. I've got a coach. I've got two actually, one career and one public speaking. And they helped me find my way as a public speaker, and that translated into a managing position, and even at the beginning, I still got help from them. Like the way I was managing the team, the way I was dealing with problems. So maybe
Is there
from some other
anything
people.
specific that you learned, like something that you learned from these two coaches, where you're like, man, this is something I still remember up till today that I still, put into practice.
Well, there's some stuff like even my manager, Thomas Le Sénéchal, the general manager of France, well, had a big impact on me. Like stuff that I always repeat that to him. But once he was like, next time you're hungry or something, Jean, just wait 24 hours and then tell people. That was one of the best advice I ever gotten because I can get sometimes really like, yeah, okay, I'm going to tell everyone to, so that was a really good one. Also kind of like try to control my emotions outside of work, get my shit together, kind of like, that like you see all of these motivational speakers telling you need to get your shit together in terms of sports, in terms of whatever. And that's true. Like, I do sports like now 4 times a week or whatever, and my brain's so much better. I sleep better. I eat better. So I still do. I'm a really social being. Like I love to go out. So I don't do in clubs anymore. I'm 31, right? But I still go to
You
jazz
got to the
twice.
age where it takes 2 days to recover.
That's not my thing. It's like I'm not gonna boom 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 now. But I go to jazz twice a week. I do basketball twice a week. I go to run twice a week. Like so, I've got more of a better schedule for myself, and I think those things makes you because it makes you like it still let you being humble, but everything's so much clearer now in my head. Like it's really clear where I want to go. I'm less afraid of the challenges, and when I'm afraid or scared of the next job I'm going to take, I'm really scared because I know I don't have the level yet to be in that kind of position. But I'm still like I'm still sure of myself, right? Like I'm still confident that I will get through that challenge, and I don't think like all of the habits that I developed on the side by being like more serious with my own life, they help you do that because you're more sure of yourself because you can always, you have kind of a safety net. It's like before I didn't have any safety net kind of, right?
Yeah.
And like right now I feel like whatever's happening, I'm valuable. So it's good. And if I don't succeed at something, I don't succeed. Also, yeah, another thing maybe the fear of like failure, which is huge in France. This is so bad in France. Failure is humiliation. It shouldn't like we teach this to people for growth, but even in life, I think it's so important to see failure as a stepping stone. I mean, everyone thinks it, everyone says it in the motivational videos, but do we really incorporate it? I don't think so. I don't see a lot of people that are actually okay with failure. Everyone loves to say they are, but they're not that okay with it. And I think like that helps you a lot as a manager as well, because admitting wrong in front of your people is really, really important. And I'm going to tell you one story, for example, just to come back on that managing thing and what the things that you could do to improve. I'm not going to tell you who, but a big CMO in France from a scale up like was telling me, yeah, I don't understand, Jean. We do the training, we do the coaching. And I feel they still have a fear of saying when they fucked up or when they did a big fail and they lost a lot of money. How can I make sure that they don't fear? They have like that psychological safety, right? Because this is what you need. Psychological safety is really the key word here. And I was like, well, you did all of that and you told them 100 times and it hasn't changed anything. Why don't you fucking fucked up in front of them? Like the reason they don't is that you should do it yourself. And then I got a lunch with Peter, the CEO at Growth Tribe. And I always tell that story reading the trainings, which is the first day I came at Growth Tribe, we have a big win board and fail board. And when we have a big fail, we put the fails, and at 10 fails, then we do a party. And we have fail of the month. Yeah. And we have fail of the month. And fail of the month was Peter, the CEO. And I go to lunch with him, I think it was 6 months ago, and we talk. And he said to me, yeah, that wasn't true. I was like, what? It was like, yeah, it's just because I knew there was 10 new employees that were coming to Growth Tribe. So I wanted them to feel reassured that they could fail, that this is a company when you're allowed to fail, when it's actually encouraged to fail, because this is how we learn, as long as you gather data from your failures. And I was like, fuck, this is a great technique. Like, and that's what I said to that CMO. It was even before. I was like, you should fuck up in front of them. You should do a big thing when it's bad. And then they will understand. Maybe. And she did, and that
Hopefully.
worked. That worked.
Hopefully.
She got fired. No,
1 month later, he got fired. Done. Nice
that
try.
wasn't good advice.
But I like
No.
the fail board. I like the ideology of the fail board. And so what happens? So you have a
We
fail
put them
board.
in
So
every corporates, especially corporates, because they have to. Otherwise, they feel like they can't. do a
And
mistake.
so how does walk me through like the fail board mythology? So you have a board that walks up, you have a post-it or something like that. How does that work?
Yeah, well, so we have a big board. It's just like it's in the wall, like in the back there, actually. And there's like 10 cases, like a little fidelity card, you know. And basically, every time we have a fail, like a big one, we put it. And at the end of 10 fail, then we do a quick party. Like we go to a bar together and we get drunk, or we do a party here. Actually, the last real party we did from the fail board, like real party, was a fail as well, because we ordered sushi and everyone got food poisoning, and we had to close the company for 3 days. So and it came back on the board next month.
You had one up already.
Yeah, it's like, well, the failed party was a fail in itself.
So we have 9 to go, guys, for the new party.
Yeah, exactly. And we won't order from the same restaurant. That's learning. That's learnings.
That's learnings indeed. Awesome. So do you think every company should have a fail board?
I think so. Well, like failures are just, if you don't have a company that learns, I'm so sorry, I'm going to cut my notification.
No
Yeah, if
worries.
you don't have a company that learns all the time, I don't know where you're going to go. I think like the COVID showed us the true colors of some companies, like the companies that thought they were anti-fragile, but they weren't, right? When a
Yeah.
crisis hits you, and I'm saying the same thing about crypto winter right now. I'm a lot into crypto, right? And crypto winter right now, there's some companies that still raise money. Like when we were in like a year ago, you would raise fund in like 5 days. Now it's like it's different, and the companies that are still raising money right now in tech or crypto, they're the ones that are true business with true business models that can actually bring revenue and bring a lot of value to the society. And that's the difference between the one that maybe. I think it's good, huh? Because I think it filter out the ones that were in here maybe for the good reasons or whatever. Like, and I think it's quite important to have companies that are anti-fragile, and as soon as there's a crisis, and that's where you're going to see if the company is actually robust or not, like
Yeah.
if the company can swift quickly. And I'm going to take Growth Tribe as an example because I work here. Like the swift we've done, it's so amazing to me, because do not forget that we were a completely offline company. Completely. Our entire business model was that. So we should have died. We were bootstrapped. We didn't even have investment, and we're still here and we're making money. Like we're profitable. So it's like, for me, it's a great lesson from companies that actually, and without this culture of failure, without this culture of innovation, without this culture of, oh, that's not what got us here, that's going to get us there. So if you don't have that mentality, well, good luck. That's going to be really difficult. If you want to know more about this kind of company, read stuff by Nicholas Tayeb, Black Swan or Antifragile. Those two books are
Nice.
amazing to understand a little bit. Also, like self-learning organizations, right?
Yeah.
The companies that can pivot really quickly or just like endure crisis really well. And I think it's a good lesson, and it shows the true colors of some companies sometimes when you have a big crisis.
So what I'm wondering, because I've seen the other side, so I see the sign always be learning, and I love the always be learning thing, but I feel like I've seen the other side. So of the last year, so we started as marketing agencies, a lot of marketing agencies popped up, and then suddenly there's a new word that came up, and then they call it growth hacking, and then some call it growth marketing, and then they basically said, okay, you know what, we are now a growth marketing agency, we are going to run a bunch of experiments and help you learn, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So, which is great at a certain point, always be learning philosophy. But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel that nowadays we're learning just to show that we're learning, but we don't think things through anymore. So because we're like in this philosophy of we need to experiment, that
Mm.
most experiments where people say like, oh, we ran a few experiments, and I'm like walking them through is like, okay, what was the experiment? They're like, yeah, I've tried, changing the button color from red to green. And I'm like, right. Maybe that's not the experiment you should be running. So I feel like we are getting to the other philosophy where a lot of people embrace the philosophy of always be learning, but they don't think through anymore on what they should be learning first.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. And again, that's what I'm sometimes a bit pissed about the like French influence. I hate the French ecosystem. I don't like it so much. I really don't. Everyone is just, I'm so sorry, excuse my French, but everyone is just blowing each other on LinkedIn and that's all they do. I know there's some good growth hackers. I know there's some good guys, but guys, we don't care so much about your personal branding. Please just work. And this is my point. Growth hacking, growth marketing, growth, whatever you want to call it. It's not just experimentation. It's a full funnel vision, right? And that's what you're talking about, right? People think, so like if you type c'est quoi le gros hacking, so in French, what's growth hacking in Google, you're going to find articles from like people that never did real growth. They never touched a product. They never did retention. They never did activation. They just did marketing campaigns, but they call them experiments. So now they're growth hackers. What they don't understand is that it's not the most important part. Experimentation is growth hacking, but that's only half of it. The rest of it is full funnel, right? And when you see these articles, it's like growth hacking, the new marketing. Well, of course they're going to say that because they only do top funnel stuff. So what you're saying is really true. It's like you can't just try to learn from a specific thing and you're just going to run experiments because your job is to take a look at your entire funnel, seeing where's the biggest bottleneck and work from there. And that's why you know that what you're learning is actually important, right? It's just, and I've seen this in so many corporations as well, and even scale-ups or whatever. They just do A/B testing to do A/B testing, right? Well, you know the 50 colors of 50 shades of blue story?
I know the gray one, but that's definitely a
No, no,
different
no. There's
story.
the 50 shade of blue. Yeah, we talked about this before, but no, no, no. It was the one of the design director at Google when they launched the Gmail app. They asked him to test 50 different shades of blue for one specific button, and he quit the same day. And he went to Twitter and he was like, testing for testing is just testing. Like it's just, what's the point of this, right? This is way too in depth. So he just left. He left Google and he was like, fuck you guys. I'm not like, it's like, this is a waste of my talent. And that's the thing you were saying, right? It's just like testing for testing doesn't matter. And that's why the full funnel vision is important because you need to test where you need to test, right? And, okay, now we have a big problem with retention. So maybe we need to try it. And that's why you're going to learn the things that really matter to your customers, right? But testing for testing just because you are asked to be a growth team doesn't make any sense for me.
Do you think that everything has to be tested?
I think we have the capacity to do so now. So I think the closer you are to your data, the closer you are to your customers. And you know, when you come back to that terminology, growth hacking, growth marketing, the actual real world you should be replaced with is customer centricity, right? What we're trying to do as growth people is get as close as we can to what people actually want, right? And people actually need. That's why I love the jobs to be done framework so much, because the jobs to be done tells you that people do not buy from your company. So basically, I always start the courses by saying, first of all, if you think people like your company, you're a fucking fool. Like people do not care about your company. And I come from Growth Tribe. We cool people. We teach growth hacking. We have nice studios and nice branding. So we're like, we could think people like us. They don't. People like what we can do for them. And that's what jobs to be done means. It means they recruit you to do a job for them. So I think in the testing part of things, not everything needs to be tested and you need to have your vision. That's true. But even if you put that stuff out there and you have the means to actually gather data around them, to actually see how well accepted and how well pain solving it is for the people that you worked for, which is your customers, then yes, you should. Yes, you should gather as much data as you can. So it's not like gathering everything. It's gathering what really matters to see what people actually want from you in case of, I've got a pain. I need to solve it. What can you guys do for me? That data is the most important one. And that's what should be tested the most. Product market fit was, for example, the North Star metric at WhatsApp at first, which is for me one of the most impressive company ever. Superhuman as well did that. They put the North Star metric was product market fit, was increasing the product market fit, which tells a lot about the company and how they see product and how they deliver. There's nice articles on Superhuman because they did product market fit on different segments. I would urge you to do that. If you type product market fit Superhuman, you'll find it. It's a great article on that. So I think it's, yeah. And again, it's also my mentor, Sebastian, that taught me that this is the most important part, especially if you're raising money. Because if you raise money, then you've got money to just like open the fucking tab to advertising. And a lot of the startups that I see in France do that mistake. It's like, oh, we just got 3 million. We just got 5 million as a series A or a seed round. The first thing they think about is hiring a bunch of marketers and doing more ads. That's the wrong way. That's true.
Hoping that they will fix the product.
If you have a big hole in retention, you can push as much ads as you can. People will still leave. It's the eternal question of whether your bucket is leaking or not, right? It's the leaky bucket kind of thing, metaphor, which is the bucket is your customer journey. And the job of a marketer is just add water to that bucket. Well, if there's a big hole in retention or activation, what are you doing? You're just wasting money and washing down the same bucket, right? So I just think, like when you take a look at WhatsApp, they've been bought 19 billion. Instagram was 1 billion and YouTube was 1.6, right? Why? Well, Mark Zuckerberg told it himself. He was like, WhatsApp's the only app in the world that has better engagement than Facebook, which means people come back every day. And that's the only app in the world that had better than Facebook. Everyone was like kind of try to forecast who could actually beat Facebook at some point. Most of the people were like, that's not going to happen. No one can have a retention like Facebook did. TikTok now. but,
TikTok now. Monthly daily active users going down, some going up.
Insane. TikTok is insane. They went above YouTube now in terms of watching time. Way above. But
That's
anyways, yeah.
crazy.
So that's like when you see the difference, WhatsApp was about 19 billion compared to the other one, 1 billion, 1 billion 6. It's insane. They had 55 employees. 55 employees, 19 billion. And that's because they never did an ad. They never did an ad, and they never had any marketer in their team at the time. The only thing they did is caring about the customer and knowing if people were coming back on the ad. That's what Zuckerberg did well as well with his company. I don't know if it was a long time ago, but before that, Napster, Friendster, MySpace, all of these apps, the North Star metric, the metric they would show to the entire world and to themselves as well as employees, was the number of downloads, which is a vanity metric because it doesn't mean anything. You know, if you go to the Android store, 90% of the people are gone after 3 months and 77% of the people are gone after 3 days. So basically what Facebook did and what Zuckerberg did, which was really clever, is changing the game forever, which was, no, we're not going to show the world the number of downloads. We do not care about this. What we're going to show the world and what every employee is going to work towards at Facebook is going to be monthly active users. It's not going to be so monthly active users. And this is the important part, right? Because this is not a vanity metric. It means people are coming back and actually enjoying the app. All the other ones
Getting
went
the
on.
value out of it.
Yeah. And they never went above 100K, I think. So yeah.
But talking about growth, because I want to, we reverse engineered a little bit your career, but I'm curious about, I mean, you joined as employee 28, if I remember right, at Growth Tribe. And well, you started the French part of Growth Tribe, or at least in France.
Well, I didn't really started it because France was open before I went to France. Well, I'm still living in Amsterdam, but before I took the market as head of training, but it wasn't doing well because the product market fit was not there. And one of the reasons, as stupid as it sounds, is that the courses were in English. How could you not see that? I was like, yeah, how could you not know that French people do not speak English?
So
but yeah,
basically you walked in and it was not doing well. The first thing you did is that, you know, just adapting it to the current language, or like walk me through like your first 100 days of reaching to France, basically.
Yeah, so basically, Stefan Daniels, which was the head of training at the time, and then the founders had like those meetings with Thomas Lucenachal and like the general director there, the general manager. That was an experiment. That was a big experiment, actually. It was sending someone to be head of training, which means localizing the content. So not only just translating, but actually localizing it and localizing the trainers and the growth. So it means that I had to hire my own team, blah, 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 which was never done at Growth Tribe before. We had London people, but there was just salespeople there. We had people in all the countries in Scandinavia, so Norway, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, but there were just salespeople there because basically we would send the trainers, right? And the experiment was to send like a trainer that would become head of training and hire people locally. So Goran Nicevic was my first hire. And then dispense the courses in French to a French population with a French sales team, but also a French kind of growth team. So the way we did it at first, especially because when I started, COVID hit. So we had to switch everything on online stuff. And what happened is that we had to split the task up because capacity was so low. between 70% like training, so like coaching, training companies, whether it's on the corporate side or the adult education side, as we call it, which is individuals, and 30% growth and marketing, let's say. So running our own experiments and trying to get there, because basically, yeah, we had paid ads or whatever, but that was a small part at first. The biggest part at first was 40% referral, growth loops, like organic referral, because the product was the best one, still is, I think. The number one product in the world is Reforge. The second one is Growth Tribe for me. But yeah, what happened is that 30% of our time was spending doing, it's like whether content, personal branding on LinkedIn was working a lot at the time because with COVID, LinkedIn got like 100% uplift in traffic. So my profile on LinkedIn was already quite high and we got a lot of clients that way. But then referral was working quite well as well. But 30% of our time was spending, running sprints or running normal marketing campaigns. And we didn't do that many experiments as first. And the second one, and the 70% of the other time was the training. And now that we finally developed the on-demand stuff, we're going to have a demand generation team that 100% of the time will be dedicated to marketing stuff and content and all that. But before now, it was just like doing the split all the time before, like between training and promoting our own product and making sure that people are referring to them as well.
So what were you doing exactly? So you're saying, okay, we did 30% sprints. What is that? Like we're running the ads, or like what is the specific
No,
things?
the ad thing, we had an agency because we don't want to run that. It's really boring running ads. I really don't like that part. No, but at the beginning, and I'm really sad to see that now it kind of reversed, but that's because we didn't have any capacity. But this is going to come back, so I'm not worrying about this. But at the beginning, yeah, the sprints were mostly, we were doing a lot of things. So when you rank experiments, especially the ones in awareness, so which means like the really first step of the funnel, we rank them with the BRAS framework, and the BRAS framework has different elements to it that we need to rank it. We try to remove as much gut instinct from the decision process. Obviously, this is our job. And the scalability, potential impact, easiness of implementation, blah, blah, blah. But one of the most important elements is still, if you do awareness experiments, so marketing stuff, is still like product channel fit, right? Whether the way you're promoting your products and services are actually fitting what you're actually selling, right? And obviously for us, that means a lot of webinars and a lot of like events, because there's no better way to show people how skilled we are, what we do, than to spend 1 hour with them and just blow their mind with what we know. Growth Tribe has the best content out there. I'm sure of that. I know every one of our competitors. I know every courses they give. We have the best content. The number one company in the world. No, I'm not kidding. It's just because the product quality is the number one thing that Growth Tribe did. We always try to give value. Like the motivational speakers that speak about, like, I'm not insulting them or whatever. We need to have this kind of guys. This is not what Growth Tribe is doing. Like if you go to any conference, my first conferences here is 250 people. People were standing up. There's no seats left because they know that Growth Tribe does something that not a lot of companies do, which is we give you value. We don't give a shit. The introduction is like 5 seconds. And then we just, and all the feedback we have, we just got to finish the course corporate. Yesterday, we got 9.4 satisfaction on a corporate course, which means people coming here with handcuffs, right? So you know what I mean? I'm really proud of that because the value creation is really good. So when we were doing the promotion of all of the products in France, the only things we had to do is just putting a fucking trainer in a webinar for an hour, and we knew at the end of the webinar we'll have 20 MQLs coming in, and 50% of them would close. And also that's why the referral part is so important. If you have a great product, people would refer to you. And that's insane. We just got like my last conference going to be in Switzerland. It's just a guy that saw me a year ago in another conference in Switzerland. And he's just like paying, I can't tell you, but so much money just to get me for 1 hour. That's insane. But it proves that the quality of product surpasses everything else you can do. And your product's going to be your own marketing at some point if you're really good at product and if you really take care. And every single course, I can assure you that I read every single line of feedback that we get from every single participant, because we care a lot about whether they really actually enjoy the course or not. And we put in place as well some other stuff, which is, for example, course satisfaction's good. That's what everyone's doing in the market. What not a lot of people are doing, we might be the only one, I don't know that, but it's learning impact, which means we go 3 months later to see if they actually implement it. right? Because it's great to see a speaker and be like, oh, fuck, that was amazing. So much. Do you actually do that now? Do you actually work that way? And so like all of this caring about the product, and I got to give it to Goran, my first hire, because that guy was insane at qualitative data and talking to customers and really knowing the faults from the truth. And he really learning impact was 7.25 2 years ago. It's 9.25 now. Oh, it was 7.1. It's
That's the metric you're
9.25.
looking at.
Yeah, because satisfaction of courses and NPS is like really great, but you just show them a really nice speaker that show them stuff they haven't seen. So of course they're gonna be happy, right? But when you really want to see is a real mindset change and change in the way of working. That's what we're aiming for here. So learning impact is one of the most important metric in our business. Is whether they actually implement or not. Like I've seen, you were talking about how to be a better manager. I took a course about being a better manager, a better leader. The course was great, and at the end I gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't apply any of the stuff they told me.
That's
Not
like
one.
reading a book, right? You read a
Yeah.
book and then you're like, oh, this is fascinating. I'm reading Atomic Habits. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And then you wake
And then
up
the
and
habits don't change.
yeah, habits don't change,
No,
It's
but yeah, but
not
it's
unless
really
you
important.
implement it, it's
The,
there.
the, the stickiness of what you said. And it's really tough sometimes to see it in education. But we managed to see it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things. That's also why it's so fulfilling to do what we do at Growth Drive. Because you can see the impact straight up. You can see the guys being like, oh, just got a fucking promotion, mate, or things like this. And it's really good because it's like, all of the BS stuff that teachers are saying and you think it's BS. And they're like, yeah, I do that job and I love my job because I'm coming back at home and I'm really glad I help the society, blah, blah. That's true. Like I've been the trainer for 4 years and a half, man. There's no better reward than someone coming to you and be like, so we've got like the hardcore ones, like I was a plumber and now I'm a head of growth in Paris, blah, blah. But we also have like the little ones, like, oh, I just got a raise. Oh, I just got promotion. Oh, I actually changed jobs. I realized my company was shit and I'm really happy now, etc. But those things like that, it's like, you can't, it's not valuable in the way fucking notes, $100 note is valuable. It's like it stays with you. Like the message I received for my birthday on LinkedIn is insane. A third of them are like templates, but there's people actually writing like huge. That's why I used to have a virtual assistant that was doing my LinkedIn, and now I do it myself. I take the time. It takes me so much time, but I still love to do it. And also people like spend time writing and be like, oh, you helped me on that and that. I just wanted to thank you about that and that. I'm like so happy. I want to cry, right? It's really good.
So you walked us through that because in the beginning you were like doing 30%, stuff yourself and then with the team.
Yeah.
But now you're saying that you're getting a demand gen team. Is that the only thing, or is that the only thing that is now different compared to like when you started, or is there other stuff that you're
Well,
like
the
now that
different
you're
thing is,
scaling?
yeah, well, the different thing is that we're changing the entire products, right? So we still have the live sessions, the 6-week evening course, 12-week evening course, 3-day crash course, but we're making just one per quarter. But we're changing everything. So we're doing on-demand courses now. So we recorded everything this summer. That was our big summer project. And in 2 months, we recorded 2 courses, translated another one. So we're going to have digital marketing now, growth marketing, and digital leadership. And so this is a scalability problem, right? You can't scale ed tech if you keep on doing just live lessons. I mean, this is going to still be there because this is our DNA. And I know that these kind of projects are still here to stay in France, at least for a while, but we can still help with the community. So we have a big tech team now that builds a lot of cool shit. And what we built is a GT Hub, so Growth Tribe Hub, which is basically a whole platform when you put the community in. It's kind of like a Facebook of Growth Tribe. So there's 15,000 people there. And so you can get all of your courses, right? So you can get a Web3 course, project management course, CRO course, the growth hacking course, blah, blah. And then you have access to the GT Hub. So you have comments, you have news all the time. So the value that we were giving live is still replaceable by this kind of value. And you still have access to the trainers and there's community managers taking care of all your questions. But this is the right way to go for the company as a whole, because otherwise it's just not scalable, right? If I keep on my products right now in France, the way we can scale is hiring more trainers and hiring more sales. This is not a really healthy way to build a company. So we need both revenue streams, right? The on-demand streams, and then we'll still do some live stuff. And I'm pretty sure corporate is going to be blended learning, which means a little bit of live and a little bit of on-demand.
How many countries do you have now in scope, like in Grow Tribe?
Well,
Is
we
it?
now we stopped London and all the Scandinavian country because we centralize everything here. And the reason for that is that because we're online now. So all the things
Got
that
it.
you can do them online. We don't need to go to, like, we used to take the plane twice a month to go to Stockholm. So that was fun. But yeah, like then COVID hit, we went out online. The costs were reduced, obviously. So we have nice studios and nice things. So the experiences are still really good, and the trainers are like trained by public speakers, like theater coaches, etc. So we still give, I think, the best experience. That's my only thing about Reforge that is not good, is that those people are boring. Or like the content is amazing, but
Yeah.
like they're not trainers. Here we are coached by people, literally like theater guys, right? So it's still enjoyable. So we still keep the Growth Tribe DNA, which is the course are enjoyable, right? Because they're really intense, so they need to be. And also most of the courses, for example, the live ones were at night. So imagine you
Oh,
do your 8 hours of working, and then
and
you come
then
6:30 to 9:30. And the good signs that we had, for example, is that people were still staying afterwards until like 10:30 to keep on talking. So that's a good sign. It means
that's
that after
nice.
8 hours of work, etc. So we still have that DNA in us, and I think it's not going to change. I've seen the quality of the new courses, the Web3 one, the project management one, the CR one. I'm still really enjoying like the intensity of the course, while the trainer is actually funny and is good to listen to. But yeah, the scalability of the entire growth tribe will change, and is changing already for the Netherlands, but it's starting in France for like a month now. It's working really well on the on-demand projects, which are less demanding in terms of resources, more scalable, but also we can switch more quickly from one course to another and really answer the demands of the market that is changing really
It's gonna
drastically.
change the game.
Yeah, for Growth Tribe it is. Yeah, for sure, man. And I can see this because the COVID part was a hard one for Growth Tribe, because even if we switched and everything, it's still a hard thing. You have to switch everything, etc., etc. And France did quite well. Here a little bit less, but they still did okay. And now, yeah, now it's picking up incredibly. There's also another reasons for that, is that the Netherlands government gave STAP stuff. You know, it's like government grant money for upskilling yourselves, which is a big leverage in France as well. 70% of the money we make is from that. So of course they picked up on that, and the first round of STAP, they did better than schools and education systems that were implemented in the country for 40 years, because they're really good at it, and they also inserted a really good virality campaign that made everyone talk about us and influencers and all of that without us even asking or paying, which made like a snowball effect, virality. So yeah, they picked up really well, but this is going to change the company for sure. And I really love it, because we used to have AI and growth, and that's all. And now I go
It's
into the
everything.
catalog and I'm like, wow, I've got project management, data visualization, UX design. We've got Kevin Hawking he's actually sleeping at my place right now, but we've got Kevin Hawking from, like, it's the UX director of Glovo, doing the UX design course. We got like the product director at Facebook, Twitter, director of learning and management at Uber, doing the leadership course, CMO of Takeaway as well. So we have like big names in a huge catalog on a lot of different skills. So it's so exciting. And even because I'm leaving Growth Tribe in 2 months, but I'm still gonna follow all of their courses, man. They're incredible. I started the digital leadership with David Arnoux, one of the founder, the head of science. Oh my
Okay.
God, like the level is so high, and it's insane. And the more the level is high, the better the guest speakers are. Like
Yeah.
having the product, like the design director of Twitter, Facebook, like those guys know what they're talking about. They have like 20 years careers in big tech companies, and you have them in Growth Tribe course with the Growth Tribe logo. That's insane. And yeah, I really think the company is going to do super well. Well, I'm going to leave, so I give them
Yeah,
6 months before they
that's
go
the
bankrupt.
last question I wanted to ask you before you leave is I want to know, because I feel these are such interesting things, is that what are you going to do the first 100 days? Like what I remember when we talked first is that the
My next
CEO,
job.
somebody said something else and he's like, I want you to do this, and you said something different. So walk me
Oh
through
yeah.
your first 100
You
days.
mean my next job? Yeah, so I'm going to start a
Yeah.
pre-sale. I'm going to start a pre-sale in Norway, in Oslo. And yeah, so actually my first 100 days are already here. Like we talk every day. We have a WhatsApp group where we're like, it's like, I'm already working there. Like I'm not working there, but like I need to upskill myself way more in Web3. because they hire me for my expertise, but I still want more expertise on the market globally in like that industry, which is so new and evolving so fast. My first 100 days. So I'm already doing quite a little bit of that. So yeah, Sebastian asked me for the challenge, that little sneaky bastard, to do a list of experiments. And I was like, yeah, do me, what would you do? A marketing plan for 1 year. I was like, the company is 6 months old, dude. I mean, the first week was like, 1 year plan. Are you kidding me? I know the guy. He would never ask me that, but he still did. So I came into the challenge and I was like, well, so I didn't do what you asked. Sorry. I will show you a couple of experiments, but not really experiments. I'll show you a couple of stuff that I think could be good in that field and like what kind of channels, because I'm mostly going to do top funnel stuff when I come there. The world's going to change really quickly, I know, but for the beginning, that's going to be that part. So the first thing I said to him is like, first of all, I can't give you a list of experiments. It's the same thing if I do freelance or if I work with any kind of client. Without qualitative research first, like especially in the B2B market, like if you don't have qualitative data, you're fucked. Every time we do a corporate, it's the same thing. They all have great ideas during the training, and we have like 50 ideas in the backlog of experiment. That's great. And then I force them to do customer interviews, qualitative research, psychographic research, so natural language processing on some of the clients we have, etc. So all of this. So like basically segmentation, clustering, personas, right? Once we have this, then even if the backlog was all right, it changes drastically. The backlog's not the same at all. Like, because we actually understand what people want. Like, if you don't ask them, you won't know. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't talk to your customers, you say, what are you even doing? You shouldn't have a business. And so that's what I said to Seb. I was like, the first thing I will do is doing all of that, going to at least 2 demos a week, taking 5 clients per segment. So if you have 3 segments, I need 15 interviews. This is the question I'm going to ask them. And then I'm going to look for patterns. It's always the same stuff. You go and you ask, what's the primary benefits of Presail? What's this? And then you're going to find usually 80 to 90% of people answering the same shit. And this is what's going to fill every single copy you do, emails, landing pages, all of the stuff. That's not me writing. That's the customers. I'm just like the translator between what they say and how can I make other people. Growth comes from one thing only, which is understanding who your best customers are and know how to acquire more of them and retain them.
Easy as
so
that.
yeah, that's what I will do for sure. And it's going to be complicated now, but we just raised 3.8 million, which is such a great sign because it's crypto winter. So companies are raising money right now. They're like, it means the product's really good. Ryan Hoover from Product and the CEO like invested personally, etc. So it's just like all of these good signs. So what I'm going to do is like get to know the team, obviously, but I'm just going to try to do big qualitative research. From there, I'll know what to do, but I can't know now. That's the thing.
I think that's awesome that you shared it like this, because I feel like most people would walk in and just go like, let's
I
go
want to do this
bananas.
campaign. You don't know. You don't know anything about the business. And even if you knew the market, you don't know anything about that specific company. And who are the customers? Who's paying the most? What's the LTV? I know the CAC is going to be huge. I know the LTV is huge there and the retention's perfect. And I know those guys ship product like no one else. So I know I'm going to have everything I need to do good marketing. My position is going to be easy, I think, in the way that even Ryan Hoover said, like, we've never seen guys delivering and shipping product that fast. Like, it's about, I know Seb, like the 10 people he has with him right now, they're all product people, they're all devs, and they're all about product and they're all about feature driven product, like how to really please the market and solve problems. So I know my job is still just going to be to translate that. But for that, I do need data from them, from the customers we have.